Hello, everybody. Hopefully I am live. I'm just going to check. Hello, everybody. Great. I am live and audible. Okay. So welcome to Motivation Mastery, how to crush procrastination and fire up your life. That's what I'm going to discuss for the next 45 minutes. I am not going to use slides today. You're just going to look at me for the whole masterclass. I'm curious to know if which you prefer. If you prefer the slides or me just talking like this, let me know. Okay, I'm using my Zoom as a mirror. There we go. Right, so let me start at the very beginning. I'll start with my name is Niamh. For those of you who don't know me, if you've just found me, if you're catching the replay as well, welcome. My name is Niamh, it's spelled Niamh. I am the founder of the Fired Up Coach Academy. I'm a coach and a coach trainer. I also have a podcast, a brand new podcast with 5 episodes uploaded already, and it's called the Fired Up Coach Podcast. Okay. Here we go. I'm usually at my hair at the start, but yeah, today it's my top. It's really warm here in Switzerland at the moment, but I won't complain. I'm off to the lake this afternoon to do paddleboarding. Okay, so what I want you guys to get from this, and I'm setting this intention, the power of intention, there's books about it. Set an intention for yourself. Think about, what do you most want to get from this? I'll tell you what I want. For the intention that I'm setting, that I hope that everybody that catches this live and that catches the replay will recognize what's in your way, so that you're not mastering motivation and you're not getting your projects done and you're not being efficient with your time and that you're not being consistent. I'm going to help you to remove those blocks, remove those obstacles, so that you are a fired up, phenomenal human that is crushing life, crushing your goals, and that you have that real, that real locked in certainty that you are on a mission, you have a great vision, you're going to achieve it. You know why? Because you're following my masterclasses and they're really good. And I'm a really good coach. Okay, so let me start. Before I go into the content, I will start at something I always start at, which is your vision. If you want to crush procrastination, if you want to get that motivation, you have got to be super clear about your vision. So if you're not crystal clear, like if I was to ask you, so tell me in detail, where do you see yourself in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years? Where do you see yourself in a year? Are you able to tell me? Where do you see yourself in 12 weeks? What progress will you have made with your goals? Are you able to answer that? If you're not, that's the very first thing to start with, because the clearer that your vision is, the much more likely you are to achieve it. And if there's a lack of clarity there, then, it's like, how are you going to get to your destination if you don't plug in the coordinates in the GPS? You're just going to drive aimlessly. And that would be the number one reason, before I even go into the content. If you've not got that sorted, then get that sorted. Now, that can take time, and I get it, and it can take a lack of clarity, and also we evolve, so our positioning shifts. If you are an online coach, for example, I know that it's not just online coaches that are watching this. Maybe you want to become one, join my Fired Up Coaching Academy if you want to become one, because you'll get a training and a certification in there after the year. But get as clear as you can, and at the same time, don't let lack of clarity hold you back. If you're not crystal clear, take action anyway, because action brings traction and action brings clarity. Sometimes we have to go down a whole wrong path in order to find our right path. I just did it. And that's just part of the process. I had a niche called Six Figure Flow. I hired a great coach, a business coach in December, and we settled on that niche for me. And it was painful. It was very painful, actually, because I'm a real believer in consistency and, staying the course with something, but it just wasn't hitting the nail on the head for me. And the Fired Up Coaching Academy, the Fired Up Coaching in general, I also work with private clients under the Fired Up Coaching umbrella. that has hit the nail on the head for me. On a side note, I'm actually literally rebranding at the moment, and they've sent me through 2 drafts this morning, and I thought, oh, it's just not hitting the nail on the head yet. You know, when you have that, yes, that is a super duper feeling. And when you don't have that, you just trust that that is going to come. So you never let that hold you back from taking action. Don't be afraid to fail. Listen to, I can't remember which episode, it's one of my early episodes where I talk about how important it is to fail. You've got to be okay with that. You've got to be okay with putting yourself out there imperfectly and letting go of perfectionism. Perfectionism is one of the biggest things that will hold you back if you are, you know, if you're believing, oh, it's not good enough yet, you know, that's going to be a massive restriction that you're putting on yourself. By the way, that perfectionism comes from insecurity, and even I've heard it comes from childhood trauma, and it comes from not feeling good enough. So if you're kidding yourself thinking, oh no, but I like to show up professionally and it has to be, you know, perfect, Codswallop. If it's 80%, Codswallop, that's an interesting word I don't use, but it's more polite than saying bullshit, which I do use. I'm calling bullshit on deciding to be perfect. You know, it good enough is done is better than perfect, and you continue to refine and refine, and then one day it will be perfect. But in the meantime, do it imperfectly, show up imperfectly with pride in yourself, that you have the courage to allow yourself to be judged for your imperfectness. When you're not perfectly dressed and your bra strap is showing and it annoys you, and you say, okay, I just go with it because my message is good enough and I know I have what it takes to help people to transform. Even at a masterclass, you believe in yourself and you just turn up the volume on that self-belief, because the more you believe in yourself, the more impactful you will be for those that are watching you. Okay, so let me just make sure that comment, by the way, comment below with where you're tuning in from, and comment below with any questions you have, any comments you have on the replay as well. Of course, I will also catch those on the replay too. So great. So several people watching. Comments. Oh, I do. Maria's here. Hi, Maria. I'm delighted you're here, Maria. Julia's here. Heidi's here. Super duper duper. Great. You know what's crazy? I'm like suddenly like really fired up about being on here. I had a bad night's sleep because there's a fly in my room, and it was like not a mosquito, a fly. Sometimes mosquitoes come and I hate that, you know, in your ear. It's horrible, but this was a fly and it's still here and I can't get it out. Yeah, anyway, okay. But I'm really energized now and delighted to be sharing this. So without further ado, I want to share first the agenda, the 3 topics that I said I was going to share. Complete the project. How to complete your project with the same enthusiasm as when you started is number 1. Number 2 is how to gain 2 hours in your day. Super duper. And number 3, how to develop consistency so that the enthusiasm and the consistency lasts for life, not just for a certain duration. So I've got some great tips. Actually, it's funny because I decided to write them with a pen. And so I took my red pen for the titles and then my blue pen. And I was like, oh, but there's this. And I was squashing it in my notes and I just started again. And yeah, so I have like, oh, sorry, you can't because of the, no, we can't see it very well. Anyway, there's a big long A4 page with notes, which I'm going to share now. Okay, so completing the project with the same enthusiasm as when you started. Now, it depends, you know, on the project. If you're in a 9-to-5 job and you have a project that your heart is not in and it just feels like, what is it, pulling teeth or something? I can't remember, or watching, I don't know, you know, those expressions. Comment below if you can think of a better expression than that. I mean, I used to be miserable in a 9-to-5 and it felt soul destroying for me. It's just, now I'm so much more fired up because I'm living my purpose. So if your project is not firing you up, that you're genuinely excited about, then it's going to be hard to, you know, I get it why you won't complete the project. However, if it's something that you know is really going to serve you, then you you complete it. And I'm just thinking actually recently of a client, and she was doing something on the side to bring money in while she's growing her coaching business. So, great decision. And it was just awful. And she had to do a particular project for it. And so I helped her to get out of victimhood about it, like, and into empowerment, because yes, I'm choosing to do this and I'm choosing to show up for this part-time job, even if it's something that feels so hard. I'm reminding myself, it's your positive self-talk. Remind yourself that, these are things we've got to do along the way in order to, before we become big, right? And you tell yourself, it's just temporary and I'm going to do this professionally. And I'm so, so grateful that I get to do this so that it helps me with my vision, that all important vision that you're crystal clear about, right? So if it's a project that doesn't light you up, either look at, well, why doesn't it light me up? If it's your work, if it's your online work and you're feeling dull about it, ask yourself, is that, it could be lack of confidence, that you're not believing in yourself enough, and that can be worked on. It can be that you're not in the right niche. So you're not, like for me, I wasn't in the right niche, 6 figures, helping people to get to 6 figures. I do so much more than that. My work is so much more, so much broader than that. And I felt really restricted. And I was like, then I can only message about money. And obviously money is a very important part of the work I do. I'm very passionate about helping women, especially, but men too, to get to financial freedom on their terms, doing what they love, and to get in the best shape of their lives. That's if you listen to my podcast, that's what I say. So it's a very important part of it, but I am very, very, very passionate about taking care of our health and as well, and wellness and meditation, spirituality, so many things. So all of those things lead to being fired up. So that's, was just not quite in flow for me, even though it was called 6-figure flow. It was to an extent, but this is a lot more. So just check your niche if you're not really, if you're not feeling it. Okay, and here's a great question, a great measurement. Is it a 10 out of 10 for you? Is it a 10 out of 10? I love this. I've just blogged about this. I even put, like, if you want to work with me, if you want to work with me VIP privately, you've got to be an 11 out of 10. You've got to want it so badly, because then you'll do the work, then you'll show up, then you'll trust me, and you'll receive the feedback, knowing that I've got your back, even if it feels sometimes confrontational or it feels scary. I know what it takes. I know what it takes. I've been online for more than 10 years now, and I've been through the ups and downs, and it's tough sometimes, but I know that the number one thing that helps you to rise is when you get results. And that just means pushing through all the resistance. I'll tell you a story actually about stuckness and procrastination. I'm no stranger to it. It doesn't affect me anymore. Not at the moment anyway. Let's see with the next up level if it comes back, because I've got great plans and vision for the future. And they say new level, new devil. So we're never immune to it. But I remember in the early days hiring a coach. I think I paid her $5,000 for 3 months, as far as I remember. And she would say, okay, so do this for next week. And I remember showing up and feeling ashamed. I didn't do it. And I was embarrassed. And I didn't understand, mindset and how all these things work. I really didn't understand it. And I thought, what is wrong with me? And I said to her, I think she was a business coach. And I said, I think I need help with my mindset. And, she should have been able to help me with the mindset, but she said, okay, so hire this mindset coach. And, but now it's like, no, just, I wish she'd explained to me. It's like, you've got a lot of fear going on here. Let me help you through it. Right. The 2 fears that we have are fear of, and this is why we procrastinate. This is why we're stuck. It's 2 reasons only. Fear of judgment, like fear of what other people will say, and fear of rejection. So fear of failure. It's 3 things, but they're kind of 2 things. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, and fear of rejection. So what will people think of me? And I guess fear of failure comes under that as well, because if you were like, failing and no one was to know about it, you wouldn't care about failure, right? You would just, like babies, they don't say, oh, I failed, I'm never going to try to walk again, right? They're just not conscious of the fact that failing is a thing. Yeah. But as adults, our egos are much more developed, and we're like, oh my God, I know they're gonna, and especially the people who are not, because they're thinking, oh no, I'm not gonna do anything like that because I don't want to make a fool of myself. Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. Like what you said on Facebook or what you did, or, oh my God, I can't believe that you showed that, or, it's like you people are going to judge, and it's a great growth opportunity, because you get to develop inner strength and to develop a thick skin, really, and be okay with, it's okay if they judge or they say what they say, because you're over here creating a great life and your vision, and you're feeling fired up, and they're over there not. Okay. And I wish them well. But it's the reality of what we humans do, right? It's either you've got two kinds of people. People, by the way, people ahead of you will never be judging you, because they will admire you, and they know that you're one of the courageous ones. The people ahead of you, people behind you, because it triggers them. It triggers them, but also it inspires. They then go, oh wow, well maybe maybe I can do what they did. Yeah. And this is for everything, actually, it's one of the main reasons I think women, I know for certain that women don't drop weight, because try it, and people, and you'll get comments like, oh, but you're what are you doing, like wanting to lose weight? You don't need to lose weight. And you're fine the way you are. And basically what that's code for is, I don't feel comfortable if you're losing weight and I'm not. That's the reality of it. There's unfortunately, that's part of the human condition, that we can it triggers wounds. And that is why, it's kind of because we want to be accepted by the tribe. So that's why, fear, procrastination can come from that fear as well. They're going to judge me. They're not going to be happy with me if I change. They like me the way I am. And it's nearly like, I don't want to let them down. I don't want to inconvenience them. Seriously, it sounds crazy, but if you go deep into why you're holding yourself back, you might be surprised at what you'll discover about, for me, for certain, I noticed that it's like, oh my God, I don't want to inconvenience people and put them out, because they're, like, I love them and I want to be accepted by them. And it sounds insane, but that's very much a part of the reason why we don't master motivation and master rising and achieving our goals, because we want to be part of the tribe. And that's, it's very primal need. So is this resonating? Let me know if that resonates with you. But I guarantee you that if you're not, because basically you've got to, if you want to reach your goals, and if you want to have a successful online business, you've got to claim it, and you've got to really fight for yourself and decide, yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to achieve that. And if you're not, it's because of fear. But the great news is that the option's always there for you. You can start now. You can start now and decide, yeah, I'm not going to let that hold me back anymore. I'm just going to push through. Oh my God, people might, be like, for a weekend or a week. And that's okay, because I'm staying in my own lane, focused on my vision, feeling fired up about what I'm creating. It's in your hands to create it. It's in all our hands to create it, which is super exciting. And it's not because, oh, well, the market is saturated. That's bullshit. Because if you're fired up and energetically bringing people with you, with your enthusiasm, you're transforming lives, and people will feel that. But if you're running this belief that can also be camouflaging fear of, oh, well, the market's too saturated, there's enough coaches out there, that are doing that. But not coaches like you. People are drawn to different coaches, and people will resonate with you who have a similar background to you, or completely different. It's just a feeling, right? Okay, you have that, Maria. Totally resonates. Fear of making a fool of myself. Yeah, it's very real, Maria. It's very real. But and I'm glad you commented that. Thank you. The question to ask yourself, because it is, and that can bring up stuff, but it's like, am I going to let that hold me back for the rest of my life, or even for the next year? Am I going to let that hold me back? Because if I don't let that hold me back, what's possible for me? What's possible for me? Yeah. And then it's like the ones who, you know, when we think, make a fool of myself, do I want to even have friends that would snigger, you know, because they're not real friends, because part of rising and you know, part of becoming that next level version of you, which is basically peeling back the layers of what's inside you. Part of it is it's letting go of toxic friendships, it's letting go of toxic people in their lives, and it's connecting with like-minded people who are on the same journey as us. And that's a beautiful feeling when you're with, I wouldn't say all my friends are on this journey and I love them for different reasons, but I love vibing with people that are just like, that geek out on growth. It's just a joy. And I noticed, you know, I'm much more attracted to that kind of a person who's building something. And it's hard for me when people, and it's fine, you know, some people, they just want to be, and totally, I can get that from a spiritual point of view. You know, I do have a spiritual practice where I completely let go of all this and, you know, go behind the thoughts and go behind the goals. And that keeps me grounded, right? Because who knows, you know, what the future holds. We've got to be grounded as well inside of ourselves. And I'm really developing a closer relationship with God as well, praying more. And that feels really good to me as well. Okay, I'm off topic, kind of. Am I? Talk to yourself. Oh, yes. This is really good. The self-talk. Talk to yourself commandingly about your project in order to finish it. I love this project. I love that I'm going to get it finished. I love what it's going to bring me. It could also be like a weight loss project, for example. Like I'm doing losing 10 pounds in 10 weeks at the moment. And actually, I want to share something with you. Interestingly, I did an exercise, a journaling exercise a few days ago, because my goal is to get a six-pack. That's what it's like. I don't know. Is there a six-pack there? I think I have loose skin though from pregnancies, so I don't know if I will achieve it. But hey, let's just get curious and have fun and see if there's one there that I can expose. So that's the journey that I'm on. But a few days ago, when I was really like, oh, because Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm particularly strict with my food, not on Fridays. But and I was like, oh, like, why am I doing this? I'm kind of like, was feeling resistant. So I asked myself one of my favorite questions, one of the favorite self-coaching questions: on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for me to achieve this six-pack? And I wrote a 6. I was like, oh dear, that's not good. It's like, I don't need a six-pack, like what for? And then I realized the benefits of it. And really, you know, it's part of my marketing. It's part of inspiring others and showing them, hey, when you're 52, I'll be 52 in December. When you're 52 and in menopause, you can go for it and get a six-pack. You don't have to fall for those beliefs that, oh gosh, menopause means weight gain and frumpy. No, God damn it. You set your rules in your life and decide. So, and I love to you know, to do that, and you know, to go against what society believes and expects. What do I want? What do I want to create? So I wrote a lot of benefits of me getting the six-pack and what fun it will be trying anyway. And yeah, I brought it up to a 10. So if you're not at a 10, ask yourself, why is it not a 10? And then look at, how can I make it a 10? And how you'll make it a 10 is getting more connected with your why. Why do I want to do this? How's it going to benefit me? And you write that and remind yourself every day, because the resistance to change is, you're going to be competing with that. There's a great book called The Devil on Your Shoulder, I think it's called, by Napoleon Hill. And it's free on YouTube. I would so recommend it, because he just describes it so well, that competing voice that's trying to pull you down. So you've got to have that positive self-talk, and you've got to be like, I love creating this six-pack. I love going paddleboarding with my nearly six-pack. It's so much fun. And I'm proud of myself that I have the mental strength to do this, and that my clothes fit well. And, you know, and that I can say with evidence that no, because you're in menopause doesn't mean that you get this what's it called again, like pot belly, or you know, etc. That you if you know what you're doing, that you can actually be in the best shape of your life, right? Totally possible. Okay, so that is on completing the project. Make sure it's a 10, and talk to yourself with very commanding language. the power of words and our thoughts on the inside, that's what's creating your reality. So catch it. And as often as possible, affirm with emotion about how much you're loving your journey of growth and expansion of what you're creating, and be so connected with that. Okay. Questions? Good. Okay. Gain 2 hours in your day. That's the second point. How to gain 2 hours in your day. Now, if you've listened to my podcasts, you will have heard me talk about Mr. Pareto and Mr. Parkinson, 2 men, buddies of mine. No, you quite possibly know who they are. Pareto is dead. He's buried outside of Geneva. And I visited his grave because I was a bit starstruck. He's in the same graveyard as a famous film star. Oh, I can't remember his name, the film star, but yeah, I was kind of a bit of a tourist in the graveyard. Oh, who is that? It'll come to me and I'll comment below. But yeah, there is a famous actor buried, a few of them, I think, on the edge of Geneva as well, in Celigny, in a graveyard called Celigny. Okay, Pareto. Anyway, why am I talking about him? Because if you want to gain 2 hours in your day, Pareto, actually, I think he was planting seeds and he noticed that 20% of the harvest yielded 80% of, or 20% of the seeds yielded 80% of the harvest, something like that. I don't have that probably completely correct, but what I do have correct is that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So look at what 20% is causing the most impact and the most growth in your business and with your projects, and focus more on that. So it's really taking a step back and checking and measuring. And the same, I would say, applies to weight loss. You know, you could apply Pareto's law to weight loss. You know, if you're dropping fat and you want to have a flat tummy, for example, but it's far from flat at the moment, doing abs every day is not going to be as efficient as doing high impact cardio in order to burn the fat and to do strength training. That will be more impactful, because there's no point in doing abs if you're never going to see the abs. The abs are behind all the fat. So that's efficiency, right? So the reason I talk about, you know, how to gain 2 hours in your day is, okay, some of this work is just wishy-washy stuff that I can actually outsource if I train in an assistant or get a cleaning lady or cleaning man, or, you know, it's looking at how can I be more efficient? So it's looking at being strategic, right? So that's Mr. Pareto. Think of the 80-20 rule. There are books on it. And there's even like 80-20 rule for sales and marketing, 80-20 rule for different topics. Okay, that's Mr. Pareto. Mr. Parkinson's law is whatever time you allocate to something, that's the amount of time, you know, time will collapse or expand according to the amount of time that you devote to it. That's it. And it's completely true. It's completely true. So for example, the masterclass, sometimes when I'm preparing for a masterclass, I will start preparing it the day before and spend all morning on it. This morning, I decided to start preparing at 11 a.m. And yeah, I actually had it done in 15-20 minutes really. But that was the time I allocated to it. But if I had allocated longer, I would have, you know, created slides, etc. It's really, and it's also like if you're studying, if you remember in school, when you have a deadline, you're a lot more efficient, you're a lot more on it, right? So you can, you know, decide to create that. And the more structure that you have, if you've timetabled stuff and you say, okay, I'm going to devote 30 minutes every day to mindset work, for example, which is what I do in the mornings and journaling, then, you know, decide and set a timer, because sometimes actually if I'm journaling, I can get distracted and get tempted to like halfway through be on my phone. But if I set a timer and I know, oh, I've only got another 10 minutes left or something, then you're going to collapse time. And believe it also that you can collapse time, that you can get lots done. Sometimes if I'm feeling very fired up and very creative, then I can create a lot. Like this week actually was a high creativity week for me. You know, I created since last week. When did I start? Last week, Friday, or like 5 podcasts. They're short, but 5 podcasts, and I also created the intro and the outro. I did everything myself. Nobody else did anything else. anything of it. I did the artwork, I did everything, threw it together and put it out there into the world. Plus I did a lot of blogs this week and worked with my clients and got to the gym 5 days a week. I go to the gym. That's non-negotiable, absolutely non-negotiable. There are certain things in your life, if you want the result, you've got to lock it in, and there's actually zero tolerance for any excuses, right? For me, that's very much part of my life. It brings me so much. It helps with my mental health. It helps with confidence. It helps with my physical health in so many ways. I'm super grateful for it. And I just love the outing to the gym. I love the people there. And so I feel fired up about that. And it's something that I'm not going to, for until at least September, then I might relax a bit. We'll see. But until my current goal, which is until the 10th of September. So you have to make things non-negotiable that you really want in your life, and why would you make it non-negotiable? Because you're putting yourself first. Your life is precious, and knowing that if you commit to yourself and you have firm boundaries are super important as well. The ability to say no and to put your goals first and your vision first. And maybe that means that other people or things might suffer for a little bit, but that's okay, because the rewards that, you say, yeah, it's worth it. You can look and say, yeah, it's worth it, because the reward that I'm going to get from this will more positively impact those people, for example, right? So boundaries are super important. Okay, the next part for gaining 2 hours in your day. Oh yeah, no excuses. I said that, you just make it non-negotiable, and you do not even entertain. I don't have time. You do not entertain. You're choosing, right? You choose what your highest priorities are, and you honor those. You honor your highest priorities. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. So, why is it that very busy, successful people manage to, some of them go every day to the gym, for example? It's what you're prioritizing, which is part of your identity, which I'm going to come to in point number 3. Okay, what's it worth to you? That was my final point on gaining 2 hours in your day. You will gain the 2 hours in your day. And, for example, like me today, after this, I'm going to the lake and, taking time off because, I've been efficient with my time this morning and very focused. And it's work, and also because it's important to have that downtime, right? And to have that leisure activities too. So it's like, what's it worth to you to create that for yourself? What's it worth that to you? For me, it's worth everything. I've worked really, really hard to get to where I am, and I continue to, because my vision is big. I really want to impact a lot of women, and I want to be that example for my children as well. It's super important to me. So what's it worth to me? It's for me, that's what my life is about, really. Okay, number 3, is this resonating? Let me know any questions. Okay, and really, if you feel like I'm saying, no, what Neva's sharing, that's not the reason I'm stuck, but I don't know what it is, message me or comment below. I'd love to support you, because I was a certified facilitator of the work of Byron Katie for 5 years. I worked in the work for 7 years, and I still use it with clients. But the reason I'm sharing that is I'm very good at identifying the specific beliefs, because there's always a belief behind a behavior or a stuckness or a procrastination. And I'm good at zoning in on what that belief is for you. But I'll tell you, it'll come back to fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of what other people will think. Most likely. But sometimes our mind will go, no, that's not it for me. I really don't care what people think. And yeah, even I do, I wish that I didn't, but it's still there, and it's much better, right? There's just more layers to peel back of it. Okay, number 3, develop consistency so it lasts for a lifetime. Okay, so I was like the peasant of habits before, and I would say now I am the queen of habits. I'll talk about that in a moment. Maria says, I wish I could work 5 to 7 a.m. when my daughter is asleep, but it seems a bit crazy. So thanks for the comment, Maria. I like that comment. Why is it crazy? Ask me, why is it crazy? How important is it to you to create that vision, to be that powerful woman that you know that you are? So why is it crazy? That's what it takes. Really, that's what it takes. It takes, And it's like, if you look at the difference between those who succeed and those who don't, it's like the ones that back themselves and do crazy stuff, you know. I've been there, you know, but actually I kind of wake up naturally now at 5 a.m. and I love to go to bed early and just have that pottering around time in the morning, and meditation, yoga, etc. So yeah, talking about habits. So that's how, you know, the habits that I create, right? I usually will wake up naturally. And yeah, so it's, I start with meditation. Actually, I start with a coffee and I sip my coffee and then I meditate. And then I go out in sunlight, daylight. They say that you should get out in daylight within 15 minutes of waking up for your serotonin levels to kick in. So that's actually a good sleep. That's part of having a good sleep, is getting daylight as early as possible in the morning. So your serotonin hormone kicks in, and then in the evening, your melatonin will then kick in, so you'll have a good night's sleep if you don't have a fly in your room. Okay, so yeah, and then I come back and I do yoga, and then I shower and have breakfast. And you know, this is so, why am I sharing this? Because consistency you will develop through habits. After that, I do my journaling. After that, I do my blog. After that, well, actually, this week I was doing a live stream even out on my run without showering or makeup, like looking like a mess. But hey, it was like, you know, the message, I just felt inspired to do that. So yeah, decide, you know, what feels like, you know, what feels feasible for you. Maria, you haven't answered my question about why is it crazy? Because you're probably like, oh, well, maybe it's not. I know, I get it, that it's difficult, especially, you know, I know you have a partner, and, you know, if you're suddenly saying to your partner, well, I'm going to bed at 9 p.m., they might be like, hello. So, you know, there might be some conversations to be had, or you decide to do it like just Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, for example. You know, you pick specific days of the week, right? And then you do Parkinson's law, and in those 2 hours, you get so much done. I know you can. Okay, so develop consistency so it lasts for a lifetime. You just see yourself, the identity work. You see yourself. Who do I want to be? What kind of a person do I want to be? You know, so for me, that's really why I got into the fitness, and I decided, you know, in my 50s, who do I want to be? And in my 60s, yeah, I want to be in shit hot shape. I want to be in the best shape of my life. I want to inspire. I want to be energized. I want to take care of myself and travel a lot. And slight issue with the dog, but I put it out there to God, and he's helping me find a solution because yeah, it's kind of tricky to travel around the world when you have a dog. Anyway, it will work out. But just, you know, that's part of my vision. That's part of, you know, that's who do I want to be? I want to be that person, and who has a thriving business and who impacts thousands of women, if not millions, right? You know, the books are coming. So you know, think about what kind of an identity am I building? What kind of a vision? Who do I want to become? Who do I want to become? You already are that person, but you're peeling back layers of fear and layers of kind of, oh gosh, you know, who am I to do that? Who are you not to? It's in your hands to create that, no matter what age you are, right? Okay, I'll work it out. It's not that crazy, I guess. Maybe if my daughter wakes up, will bother my partner. Right. No, I get it. I mean, I had 3 young children. They're teens now, although Dylan is turning 20 in December, so I can't say I have 3 teenagers anymore. I have 1 adult and 2 teens. But yeah, I remember Maria, when they were small, and you know, you just work with what you can work with. Now there are many examples of entrepreneurs who have small kids and they still, you know, manage to make it work. So it's also, by the way, this is very powerful. You decide, I will do that, and you leave the rest to God. I know that sounds crazy, but if you decide, I'm going to make it happen, and you know, you kind of just, and people are saying, but you're crazy, you can't. You just don't even, you're not available for can't. You're not available for can't. You're only available for must. I must do this because I must create that version of me, because it would be a real pity if this version of me that I know is in there died inside me and never got to come to life, right? So bring that version of you to life that's inside of you, because that's the fired up feeling that I love and that I want to bring for you. because it's a real pity, it's a real shame when we are staying stuck. That stuck feeling is horrible, right? It's soul destroying. And we're staying, and we're giving fear the power, right? Just bring your fear with you, but do it anyway. And it will be there, sometimes more than others, but it gets easier. It gets a lot easier as you feel more proud of yourself, and what you're committing to yourself, and you're backing yourself. So back yourself fully and just go for it. Really shout from the rooftops. Don't hold back. Don't hold back with your message. What is it that you're passionate about in life, about people knowing? What is it that you're passionate about helping them with? You might be a health coach, and that the common advice is BS, and that people really need to work on their hormones and balancing their hormones and their gut, which is true. That will really help the older we get, especially. So, if you feel really strongly about that, then, you got to get your message out there so people know, because guess what? There is corporations with massive financial budgets that you're competing against, because they want people to eat their Frosties and cornflakes. So you got to get a very strong voice and be really connected with your why. Be really connected with your why. Why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? How is it going to benefit me? How is it going to benefit my children, if you have children? That's a great motivator. Children. It's like, what kind of I don't know. I'm not big into leaving a legacy, but I guess, for me, it's like, what's possible? How do you want to demonstrate what's possible for your children? Okay. Schedule it. So to develop the consistency, you develop great habits. There's some super books: Atomic Habits by James Clear, Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg, and The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. They're the big 3 books on habits. But it's basically, in a nutshell, it's making your schedule and sticking to it, like non-negotiable sticking to it. Start simple so that you're achieving. And you're like, oh yeah, I am, because you might be running a story, as I used to be running a story, that, oh, I'm not someone who can stick to habits. I'm just not someone who can do that. I was like 20-25 kilos heavier. I was frumpy. I was insecure. I had no idea of my personal power. I've learned all of this, guys. I'm living proof of stepping into and claiming that brave, powerful version of yourself. If I hadn't, I'd still be, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it if I let fear win. You've got to claim it for yourself. Yeah, because the alternative is soul destroying. Yeah. So you got the gift of life, so use it well. That's what I would say. And the final thing, and I wrote this in caps, is love it. Love what you do. Love the vision that you have, and love the journey. The journey. It's so rewarding and fulfilling, that striving, right? That's the best part of it, right? To be present with the journey and what you're creating. And there's Bob Proctor, he trained David Nagel, and I worked directly with David Nagel. Well, not one-to-one, it's 100,000 to work with him one-to-one, but I've been to one of his workshops. And David Nagel said it, make it your magnificent obsession. Become magnificently obsessed with what you're creating, which I believe I am. I really am passionate about helping women, and I really want to create a movement. I'm actually literally going to learn about that. I'm going to Orlando to a workshop in the end of September, and there's lots of different trainings with ClickFunnels, but the one I'm most interested in is creating a movement. I really want to build a movement of women that are striving to let go of the fear and to create that best life, and to get in the best shape of your lives. If you want to, I mean, I'm not going to refuse a client if they have no interest in getting in shape. I have total respect, but you're not going to have the same energy level, right? If you don't want to, but that's totally personal choice, right? People might say, no, I want to prioritize and just work on one goal, which there is merit in just choosing one goal, keeping things simple and focused. Okay, so love what you do what you love yourself. So you say, well, I'm worth it in order to create this life for myself. And just that positive self-talk will keep you motivated. So you master that motivation and you decide that you are a queen or a king of motivation. You just claim it for yourself. And if you are saying, oh, I'm not really good at motivation, you drop that. We get whatever we speak out loud into ourselves. So from now on, and write it down, claim who is it that you want to become. What identity is it? You're becoming a confident, fired up, certain woman or man who takes risks. You got to take risks, who's not afraid to fail, who backs herself, and who goes all in. There you go. If you want to join the Fired Up Coaching Academy, you'll get a lot more of this and specific to help you with your vision. It's a group program, or you can work with me one-to-one for the year. I'm calling in a one-to-one high-end client right now. The level of support that you'll get is incredible, because you get voice memo support and from Monday to Friday, plus a weekly private call with me. I'll help you with your business. I'll help you with your branding, your website, your social media, everything, plus the emotional side of things. So if you're interested in talking about that with me, message me and we can chat over a call and I can explain more about it. But it will be a transformational year that will radically change your life. So there you go. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate. I hope that you benefited from this masterclass. Comment below, let me know your biggest takeaway from this, and let me know how fired up you feel now about going after your vision, claiming it and creating it. You've got this. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. Lots of love. Bye.